Mr. Klotz, how can the SBDC utilize new legislation to help small firms secure financing? That's typically the most difficult thing for, small firms, small businesses, startups, securing that initial financing.
I think through harnessing the existing network of small business development center counselors that have already been in place doing very similar things with their clients, additional funding for those types of initiatives can only improve upon and expand what they offer. I could see new micro-lending programs perhaps starting. I know one of the gaps that I see in my own community are those who might have less than perfect credit, have great business skills and an outstanding idea for a business, but just can't get through that banker's door. So maybe some sort of program, like a second chance financing program, something like that, would be very beneficial.
Okay. Dr. Rackley, how do you think the rules for increasing transparency in the Women's Business Center Act will affect the WBC's ability to provide their services?
We welcome the transparency. We think that will improve the ability for us to, in all women's business centers, to be more transparent, to know more about what we should be doing, and for the local communities to know what we do.
See, I need help sometimes too, putting mine on. Mr. Selly, the Veterans Business Center Act shifts the Veterans Business Outreach Facilities Administration by the Veterans Corporation to the SBA. Is this a better model for long-term stability for the centers or not?
As one of the centers that was previously funded through the Veterans Corporation, we feel it's a much better model for a couple of different reasons. For one thing, it really brings legitimacy to our program. It allows us to report our successes. We love to brag about what we do. We love to brag about our clients. And in our experience with the Veterans Corporation, while it's been troubled getting funding out of them, in addition, it's been even more of a struggle getting our successes processed through them and up to the people who've given them money, which is this Congress.
Mrs. Kilhoff, how do you think that small businesses will respond to the online education and distant learning programs contained in the Education Entrepreneurial through today's Technology Act?
The initial response would depend on their age. I'd like to first state that. What we typically find, though, is that as opposed to traveling the distances involved to attend a small business development center or a seminar at a college or university, they will choose distance training over the travel anytime. And so putting them together in a situation where they can take advantage of the training with a group and have the advantage of multi-generational, older, younger, together, the technology becomes less intimidating and the benefit is there for gaining the knowledge.
And I'm sure you get the assistance from some of the younger students in the class to assist the more senior members of the class.
It's very typical of what happens in our adult classes, yes, sir.
It's kind of amazing how the young students, their whole life depends upon the technology of the day, and I think the BlackBerries run this Congress, so
I've noticed that.
we find ourselves constantly on the BlackBerry. So, Mrs. Waitling Mills, what is your opinion on the applications of benchmarks to the SCORES program?
Oh dear. I really don't have an adequate answer to that.
Okay.
I'd have to research it and respond to you at a later date.
Sure. No, that's perfectly. Will the SCORES legislation strengthen the network capabilities for local entrepreneurs?
Yes, very much so. I mean, that's where we shine in working one-on-one with local individuals and helping them, often with multiple SCORE counselors with multiple expertises in whatever they need to get their businesses up and going, or if they're existing businesses, to help them through these difficult economic times.
Very good. Ms. Grace Proctor, you talked about the Eastern Band. What do you think one of the most important, why do you think the biggest factor for the Eastern Band to basically not want to re-up in the program?
Well, you know, if you even take that one tribe and you add the other 540, you know, to get into the entrepreneurial, to where they can go and help, it takes adequate funding no matter what we do. Like we said, we have nationwide over 540 different tribes, Alaska Native corporations, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians. So that's why we were asking for that increase in that funding, because if we don't have enough to do our job, we're not able to provide the procurement. We as Native Americans want to help our Indian community. So we have the training. We are the experts in Indian business. So that's what we have there with the Eastern Band. And, you know, so it's a difficult thing to do when you don't have enough funds.
Sure.
And so in order to do it right and help your entrepreneurs and help them with the procurement centers and to go after government contracts, if we don't have enough money, and I think it's the same if, you know, it's with the women's, the veterans, the rural, we all share the same goal, is that we want to help the people in our communities that we represent. And
Absolutely.
That's why we're here.
At this time, I'd like to yield to the ranking member for his series of questions.